2020, look.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Select Board's call to order June 25th, 2020 at 6 p.m. We're on the dot. Look at that. Excuse me. I'm going to call the roll call. Sheila?
Here.
Pat is not here. Ed?
Here.
Mike?
I'm here.
And I'm here. So, let's see. Good evening, everyone. This is a virtual Board of Selectmen meeting. We're using the Zoom conferencing format. The agenda on the town's website has the information needed for the public to participate by Zoom conferencing format or telephone. If you wish to participate through Zoom, you can join Zoom meeting. The webinar ID is 992-1575-2242. If you wish to make a public comment and speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature by clicking participants on your computer screen. The moderator will be notified and you will identify yourself and you'll be called upon when it was your turn. Okay, item 2, approve the June 11th, 2020 Selectmen meeting.
So moved.
I have a first from Sheila,
Second.
second from Mike. Okay. Excuse me. Make a roll call. Mike?
Yes.
Ed?
I wasn't here.
Okay. Sheila?
Aye.
And I was here. Alan says aye. So motion carries. Public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. If there are, is there any written comments or anything, Laurie?
There are no written comments.
Do we have any hands raised? Okay. Item number 4, public hearing to consider the annual victuals licensing. And I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. You see any hands raised? No hands raised. I'm going to close the public hearing. So I'm looking for a motion to authorize the victuals licenses.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? I have a first and second. Okay, Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 5, consider application for the renewal liquor license for Musette LLC.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first, excuse me, and a second. Roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item 6, consider application to renew liquor license submitted by Breakwater Inn and Spa.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Okay, item 7, authorize the town manager to sign the Animal Welfare Society Animal Shelter Agreement.
So moved.
I have a first, but Laura, you want to comment on that or no?
This is the annual agreement that we normally sign with the Animal Welfare Society. State statute requires that we have a contract with some agency to take care of animals. The amount is the same as last year, and it is what we have budgeted for FY21, which is $4,828.86.
Thank you. I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Mike seconds it. Okay, roll call. Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item 8, authorize the treasurer to write off accounts as uncollectible and instruct Sunrise Collections to halt further collection attempts.
So can we,
Jen here?
Dave? Oh, here's Janet.
He is. Hi, Jen.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
All
So,
right.
you want to take this, Jen?
Sure. Last May, you authorized me to send our outstanding accounts receivable for fiscal year 18 back to the Sunrise Collection Service. It's been over a year. They have collected some, not a lot, but now I'm asking before fiscal year end to see if you would let me write these off as uncollectible. And then I will instruct Sunrise to stop further collection attempts. Do you want me to run down the list?
Sure.
No, it's
Sure, I was gonna say, go ahead.
extensive list.
No, I'll just summarize it. So we have
Oh, I
ducks.
saw one person on there who I know is deceased, so we won't be collecting from them.
Right. And I think that's some of the issues. From Dock Square parking lot, we have 54 transactions, which total $395.
And I
Pier
think-
mooring,
I was gonna say, I think last year we decided most of those cars were rentals,
yes.
so.
So we're having a hard time, and I'm sure they are too.
Yeah.
Trying to track down who it is.
Yeah.
Pier moorings, we have 14 transactions, which total $660. They do not have any more moorings, and they haven't been billed in the last few years. These are from fiscal 14 and 15.
Oh,
Yeah. Pier fuel, we have 5 transactions, 2 people, totals $619.22. And those are from fiscal 13 through 17. Pier dues, we have 6 people, 6 transactions, $2,605. They're from fiscal 13 and 14, and they're no longer active.
okay.
Then we have recreation fees, balance of 5 different families, totals $1,369, and that's from fiscal year 18. Carol's going to put into play that if they try to sign up for something, that they will not be able to continue and go to the checkout until they pay these balances.
Jen, is that for kids?
Yes.
Can't we do something? There's got to be a
Um,
problem. Rather than banning kids, there's got to be some way that we can work something.
Normally what happens is we do have a scholarship fund, and she does offer that to families if they need. I think these outstanding ones are ones that kids had grown out of the programs and the parents did not pay the back balances.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
I just didn't want any kid who's eligible. I didn't want
Right.
right.
anybody down.
Good thought, Mike.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So the last category is parking violations. We have 206 outstanding parking violations totaling $8,585. And those are just from fiscal 15 through 18.
Wow.
That's a big nut, isn't it?
It is,
Wow.
it is.
Yep.
And then attached to, you'll see all the names of who owes what. I attach that. We don't have to go through all that.
Okay, well, thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
What's the board's pleasure?
Well, I think it just makes sense to write these off. I mean, if we're not gonna collect them.
Right.
The thing we can do.
Do we write them off and then still try to collect, or we just end it?
We write them off and we have Sunrise Collection Agency stop trying to collect.
Should we stop collecting the 2018? I mean, not collecting 13, 14, and 15, but when they're coming from 18, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm not sure. I mean, most of them are $25, $30 a piece, and we've spent quite a bit of time. And I know
Yeah.
Sunrise has, so I don't know. Is it worth it?
I mean, I know it's hard to let go of these billings, and we wouldn't come to you unless we really felt we had done everything we can.
Right.
We do a number of billings in-house, and we also, Jen actually and her crew do a good job tracking people down. And once we send them to collections, it's really because we're out of other options. And after
Right.
a year, and collections hasn't been able to to make any headway. I don't see that waiting longer is gonna make a difference.
Any,
Do we
Would they
pay them?
catch
a
a couple?
retainer?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do
That's
they,
all right.
do we pay them, the collection agency, a retainer or a percentage?
They get a percentage of what they collect on our behalf.
So what's to stop us from writing them off and still having them, if they want to, still try to collect them?
or at least the 2,000,
We could do that if that's what you wish.
I mean, no, I just want to understand what's the downside.
Well, because they're still making calls and sending letters and they're getting no response.
I know,
We've made,
that's their problem. We
Right.
write it off and we tell them that they can still continue to collect, right? Can't we do that? If we're not paying a retainer, we're paying a
Yeah, we can-
percentage.
I
sure
think we can, it's just that the majority of those parking violations, for example, are of a balance or an amount that, once you've sent a few mailings and spent some time with phone calls, their amount they're gonna collect is probably very small.
Well, I know, I understand that, but that's not our burden. That's the collection agency's burden, not ours.
Yeah, I understand.
If we write them off and still tell them to continue to collect, what's the issue with us? I just want to understand it, that's all.
Right. I don't know that there's an issue with us. I'm just wondering how much they're really trying to collect.
But
After a
anything
year,
they collect is better than zero, right?
That's absolutely.
absolutely.
So how much did they actually collect?
They collected about $2,300 in a year.
Out of the total,
Or
Oh, the total
20%?
16.5, yeah.
so
and how much of that did we get, Jen? Or was that,
They take 3%, so 2,500.
oh, it's okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
yeah, that's fine.
3%? That's it?
Do what you think is
Or
right.
30%?
You do what you think is right. I just say anything above zero is a plus, and if it's not a retainer, I don't mind writing them off. That's not a problem. Even if we write it off and we collect money, we're not going to refuse it,
I
right?
can have a conversation with them and see how much more that they're gonna do. But I know that they have a schedule that they do, soon as they get it, they send a notice. So many days later, like a month later, they'll send another one and then they'll send another one at 90. But I'm not sure if they'll keep on going, but I'll have that conversation with them.
So did you say 3% or 30%
Uh,
collection fee?
I said 3, I think it's 3, it
Third.
might be 8.
Really?
I think the collection fee is more like 25%.
I think-
Yeah.
It's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd make any money at 3%.
I think it's 25 or 30%.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's whatever you guys want to do. I just was,
What they-
I was trying to understand it, that's all.
So how about a motion?
can I, just one more question.
Absolutely.
Is there any repercussion with the ones who haven't paid that we can recognize them if they come back? Like license plates or that sort of thing? I mean, if these people aren't paying for the last couple of years, then we don't want them back.
Right, I think they're still kept on the system up at the police station.
Okay,
So
The
what if
I
you
big
believe
ones,
that.
Sheila, are the pier ones. Some of them are $600 each.
Jen, does it take any of your time if Sunset or whoever they are does this? Does it cause you additional work in the office?
When they send us the money and when we first start with them, we have to gather up names and addresses and amounts and put it in a certain order for them. And then in like a spreadsheet so they can import it into their system. And
But they've
after
already-
that,
They've already got this though, right?
right. So
So-
after that, it's pretty smooth going. Once they collect money, they send me a list and a check. I haven't received one since last August. They
Okay,
have been
then
unsuccessful.
in here, yeah.
yeah, then it's not, okay,
Probably not even doing anything with them now.
probably
Yeah.
not, probably not. Okay, I just want to understand it, that's all.
So
I'll make a motion, we write them right off
Mike.
the, that's,
I don't
Mike.
second
Mike made it first, Sheila made a second. Okay, so Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Ellen says aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks,
so
Jen.
while Jen's still on here and we're talking about past due amounts, so I just want to let you know that currently with parking violations, we still have a manual system. So we write out manual parking tickets, and those then get manually entered into the IMC system, which is the police software. And then we then take that information from a spreadsheet and manually enter it into our financial software to bill people who are outstanding. It is a very cumbersome process. And it's the only place I've worked in 20 years where we do a manual parking violation system. So we have been talking the past 5 years about going to an automated parking system. And part of it is we can bill more frequently and like right after someone gets a parking ticket. And so Jen and Carol Cloth from the police department have been investigating different systems. And we are going to be going this summer to an automated system. Jen, do you want to just talk about that?
Sure. The system is Passport, and the officers they'll use their cell phone to generate a ticket, and they'll have a portable printer, and it'll go right on their vehicles. The company Passport automatically gets all the information. Within 3 weeks, after 3 weeks of issuing a ticket, they are going to send a notice, a letter to people. Then 45 days after that, because after the 3 weeks, there's going to be an additional late fee of $5 added on. So then after 45 days after that, they're going to tell them they have 30 more, or else it's going to collections, and it's going to automatically go to collections on a regular basis and get billed out and be on a real cycle.
For how long? Is that something that's for a year, or how long is the cycle?
Write it off.
It's constantly rolling depending when you get your ticket. Like if you got your ticket today, then in 3 weeks, you're going to have a $5 fee added to it. And then 30 days after that, you're going to get a notice that say you have 30 more or you're going to collections. And then it's going to automatically go over to Sunrise to be collected.
Oh, okay, Sunrise, okay.
So they're not going to have a big gap in time before sending them over.
Okay.
So hopefully our chances of collection will be much better.
Better.
Yeah, well, let's hope.
Yeah.
Sounds like it might be a little bit easier for the police officers too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Good.
good.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
And
Okay, how about,
So-
go ahead.
I was going to say Dave is bringing Corinna up.
Hi,
Hi.
and how are you?
Good. Can you hear me all right? I'm kind of in a weird setup here.
Yeah, we can hear you. I have to read the item so everybody knows what we're
Okay.
talking about. Regional Sustainability and Resilience Program presentation by Karina Grader. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
And Abby Sherwin of
So,
the SMPDC.
Right, Southern Maine Planning Development. So you'll remember it was last year that we began conversations with the other 5 coastal communities between Kittery and Kennebunkport about doing something jointly regarding a sustainability coordinator to focus on climate change and energy use and the resilience of our community. So all 6 communities agreed to fund starting in January, and we went through an interview process and had some great candidates, but Corinna was the top one. And so we wanted you to know what she's been up to, and Abby Sherwin is also a part of her team. Unfortunately, Corinna came on board right before COVID, and so, we met once, and then all the managers were in shutdown mode, dealing with other issues. But the team has been still working hard on a lot of great stuff. And so I wanted you to meet Corinna and also hear what they've been up to.
Great, thanks, Lori. Yeah, certainly interesting time to start a new position and a brand new program. So a bit, unfortunately, Abby couldn't be with us tonight. She had a personal emergency, but hopefully you guys will get to meet her soon if you haven't already. So my background is I was working at the University of Maine in sustainability and their Office of Sustainability as the sustainability coordinator. And part of my job was I helped with greenhouse gas accounting for the university, working on their climate action plan, and working to incorporate sustainability into the university's strategic plans, as well as working with the students on engagement and education around sustainability. But I was interested in this position because it would seem like a really exciting opportunity to start working on sustainability and climate change issues on a regional level, that the towns have made the commitment to work together, and that to work with local communities who really have the power to implement new and exciting sustainability and climate change projects and strategies on a local level. So yeah, I got hired in January and I started in February. And what we spent a lot of that first month doing was really trying to figure out what this program is going to be. You know, there weren't a lot of models to base it off of, and we really wanted to make sure the program fit with what the town's needs and desires were. So I spent about a month going around to the different towns, meeting with the town managers, meeting with other folks in the communities. And then Abby and I took a lot of time to really hone in on what this project was going to be, how we were going to balance sustainability and coastal resilience issues, and what we could actually achieve in the 2-year pilot program period, because that's sort of the time that we have the funding for. So what could we accomplish within those 2 years that would be valuable to the communities? So we put together a program work plan that's now available on the SMPDC website. And we had that approved by the town managers in our first Zoom meeting way back in April, which seems like forever ago. But it outlines our program's goals and the objectives, as well as specific milestones that we want to achieve during these 2 years. So just broadly, the goals of the program that are sort of guiding all our actions are to focus on collaboration. So to create a collaborative network to share knowledge and coordinate regional efforts on sustainability and resiliency issues in coastal York County. To assess, the second goal is assessment. So to assist with the evaluation of climate change and coastal issues, priority needs for addressing impacts, and periodic progress on sustainability and resiliency initiatives. The third goal is integration, which is to support communities with incorporating sustainability and resiliency into community operations, culture, planning, and decision making. And then the final goal is action. So increase community resilience of coastal York County by coordinating climate change mitigation and adaptation planning and strategy implementation. So some really broad goals that we're using to define more specific actions to take during these 2 years, which we outlined in our work plan. And I won't go through them all because there are quite a lot of them and might be a bit ambitious, but we're just so excited for this opportunity. So we created that work plan, and then the pandemic hit, and that has certainly in some ways added an additional wrinkle to our efforts to get this program rolling. I would have loved to have met with you all in person months ago and had the chance to talk with you, but we make do with what we can. But at the same time, it's allowed us to really focus in on creating a great foundation for this program. So we've been working on a bunch of different things. One of the things that I have had the chance to work on through this time is really learning how municipal governments operate and function and make decisions. Coming from a university background at the University of Maine, it was definitely a different transition and some stuff I had to learn. So I've been digging through, the government's websites and comp plans and ordinances, and really learning about the whole process, which will help me as we start to implement programs in the future. We've also started really digging into research on past sustainability and coastal resilience efforts that the different communities have taken. What programs have you done before? What are you interested in doing? And we're going to use that to create an assessment of a regional sustainability and resilience assessment that will be available to the communities and community members, and that we can use to guide our future programs. And then we've also used this time to pursue a number of grant-funded projects so that we can leverage our regional capacity to do projects in the communities. And so we have a couple of those already underway, which you might have heard of in the past. We have a Maine Coastal Community Grant Program that is specifically focused on Kennebunk, Wells, and York to do a coastal vulnerability assessment with a focus on looking at the impact of sea level rise and climate change to the local economies. So that one was just focused on those 3 communities, but then we also got an EDA disaster relief grant that we're going to expand that research to the additional towns of Kennebunkport, York, Algonquin, and Kittery. So expanding that coastal vulnerability assessment and economic analysis and to all of the communities, and figuring out how we can increase the resiliency, particularly of the coastal economy to climate change. So those are projects
I mean, to Karina's point, that's one of the biggest challenges we have is
Right.
if we have major flooding, what happens to our most highest value properties in town? What happens to the hotels and other industries that depend on operations if their operations are impacted because of coastal flooding and storms? And so how can we help be resilient as well as look at what potentially are those impacts for the next 50 years?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Lori. So those are the grants we already have funded, but we've also used this time to apply for additional grants. One of which is an EPA Healthies Community Grant that would really be an opportunity to do some community outreach and engagement on energy efficiency and weatherization to homeowners, and start the discussion about sustainability broadly in the community, and also start working collaboratively between the different towns, hopefully. And then the last grant that we're submitting the application for tonight is a National Fish and Wildlife Foundation grant that would be to do a very large regional coastal resiliency planning effort that would be a partnership with different land trusts and conservation organizations in the towns, and really looking at a big scale coastal resiliency and looking at the impacts of climate change, both on the expanding upon the economic analysis of the earlier grants to like natural systems and the community and other socioeconomic structures within the region. So despite all the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have managed to stay on schedule with our project objectives and our milestones, and have tried to leverage this interesting situation to pursue opportunities that maybe we otherwise wouldn't have had the time to do. So it's been interesting, but I'm looking forward to hopefully in the future working more closely with your community and getting to meet you all in person. Will be really nice, hopefully one day.
Sounds like you've done quite a lot of work already. And we certainly appreciate you and your partner going through this. And we're always here if you need us. If you have any questions or anything, you can just call Lori. She likes talking on the telephone.
Alan really likes phone calls.
I would just say, Corinna is a perfect example of somebody who's already shown us a return on investment in the few months he's been here. And her and Abby have already brought funds back to the town. And I think this regional approach is something that's new. And Corinna's talked about the fact that other communities throughout the Northeast are really interested in what we're doing and how they might model that.
Wow.
That's great.
Hopefully we'll be able to meet Abby someday.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully
one
we'll
thing
meet
I
them in
forgot.
person.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, I was just saying one thing I forgot to mention in that is that right now also the Maine Climate Council are developing their recommendations to put in the Maine Climate Action Plan that's going to be happening in December of this year. And so one of the things Abby and I have also been working on is really making sure we're on top of what the recommendations are and how those are going to impact our 6 communities, both what's going to be required or asked of your municipality, as well as how like this regional program could take advantage of funding opportunities or resources that are going to result from that program. So I just wanted to mention that one because it's pretty timely.
Well, thank you very much for your time and the updates. It's great to meet you. I've never met you before.
Yeah. Yes, I look forward to it one day.
I beg your
Sometimes,
pardon?
Look forward to meeting you one day. I'm just in Kennebunk, so thinking of you just down the road.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye. Okay. Item number 10, consider abatement of sewer user fees for 3 Temple Street. Is Chris here? There's Chris.
Yes.
Hi, Chris. You are still muted.
Muted.
we can't hear you.
Because he's not talking.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go.
You're all set.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Chris.
So I received a request last week, the owner at 3 Temple Street, to map block and lot 11-12-6. Renovated the building last year. It had been a 4-unit apartment. I also inspected the residence on June 17th, and in my determination, as far as the wastewater department goes, it is a single-family residence. So based on that, I'm recommending abating a portion of that bill in the amount of $1,402.86, so that the final sewer bill for this year would be $467.62, which is
So
Yeah,
Chris is breaking up a little, but I noted to you guys that this was a 4-unit going down to a 3-unit.
residence.
That was incorrect. It's a 4-unit going down to a single family. So rather than 1 unit being dropped, we're dropping down to 1 unit.
correct.
So that abatement is going to be
That makes sense.
1402. Yeah, so $1,000. Yep.
I move we authorize the abatement of $1,402.86 for their 2020 sewer bill, which would make it $467.62.
Which is a 1-unit charge.
Yes.
So I have a first. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Sheila seconds it. A roll call. Sheila?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, item 11, consider appointment of selectman representative to the Beach Advisory Committee.
So normally we do the appointments for the selectmen after the June election, but because we aren't doing a June election and June town meeting and it's not happening until July 18th, I thought that it made sense for us to appoint the Beach Advisory Committee rep now, because then that person will be engaged in all the meetings this summer. So I know that Sheila has been the rep the past couple of years, and looking for volunteers.
Well, I do have to say that the meetings were being called on Monday evenings, and I couldn't make a number of the meetings because of I have a commitment on Mondays. And so it's easier for me to give it up and let somebody else take it over.
Do I have any volunteers?
Yeah, I'd like to do it. I've been with the beach since the first day of negotiations. So
I know.
it's sort of, and then on the beach, I was on the advisory committee for a number of years. And they're good folks, and I like working with them. So, and I'd be happy to do that.
Boy, I'm all for
You have my nomination, Mike.
I knew I would, Ed. Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
You know, and you're right, Mike, they are a good group.
They're a hardworking, good group. They are.
We are. Very
So can I
thoughtful.
can I have a motion?
Ed,
for
you
this?
wanna,
I made a motion, but I will, my motion is to nominate Mike to the Goose Rock Speech Advisory Committee as our selectman liaison.
I have
second,
a first. Sheila seconds it. Okay, Sheila,
aye,
Ed,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Mike, would you like to vote for yourself? There
Absolutely.
you go. Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Sheila.
my pleasure.
Excuse me. Okay, item 10, use of Dock Square parking lot. So I'm going to pass this over to you, Laurie.
Back in May, we discussed letting two of the restaurants, Hurricanes and Allison's, use a portion of the Dock Square parking lot. And we said we would do it for the month of June and we would reevaluate. So they have been using it for the month of June, and I received a lot of, I'd say, positive feedback, both from the public and the restaurants about the use in order to allow people to have outdoor dining. So the governor came forward last week and has agreed to allow some indoor dining for restaurants. And but I know that a lot of people are still very wary of indoor dining and would prefer to continue outdoor dining. The restaurants have said to me that they are receiving that same feedback from their customers, that people really just want to have outdoor dining. So they are asking, they would like to continue to use the parking lot. I think they would like to use it for the entire summer, but certainly for the month of July is what I said we would review for right now.
And I'm good with it. I think, I've heard personally from many people who are very happy to be able to sit outside and eat. And I think we're also helping the business community of the town. So I'm good for July.
Yeah, I'm good with it. When I drive by over the bridge and you look over there, I've seen people there, whenever the Allison's and I keep wanting to call it the Riverview, whenever, help me out, Sheila.
Hurricane.
Thank you. Whenever they're open. So I see that it's working, and like as I keep saying, we're in special times, so I'm all in favor of this.
Well, we really want to help the business community as much as we possibly can. And this is one of the
Absolutely.
ways that we can do it. Absolutely.
I mean, we expect them to pay their taxes and their sewer bills, so I think it's the least we can do to help them, run their business and be able to meet their obligations.
Yeah, I agree.
So you want to take this for July and August?
I'm good with that.
Saying?
It's up to the board. I know there has been discussion of that, and I've only promised that we would do it on a month-to-month basis, but it's up to you guys.
Well, then I move that we extend through July and August.
I'd like to know how much it's costing the town each month.
In terms of revenue,
Yeah,
well, in a normal year, each parking spot would garner over the entire summer about $5,000. This year, I would say we're seeing parking down. There's a lot of open spaces most of the time. I think on the weekends, we see where we've actually gotten a couple of times to being full. But the majority of the time we have open spots. So we did run some numbers in terms of comparing June 2019 to June 2020. And I think our revenue numbers are down about between the 25 and then it went up to like 33%. I think last week we were at like 39% of what the revenue was the previous year. So the number of spots are only about 10% of the spots in the lot. So clearly we have a lot of leeway between what we could collect in revenue and just how many people are coming. to
Is
use the
that
parking lot.
Is that increase with the extra dollar, because now it's $4 instead of $3?
Yep, that's with the added increase. So we're just looking dollar to dollar.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
that's
we're
all
really, we have,
You're a good point, because we're $1 more than last
Yeah.
year, which I didn't calculate into it. I just looked dollar for dollar, how are we?
yeah, and we've been down there a number of times now, and we've never had an issue parking in the parking lot. So I don't think we're really losing that much,
It's
because
quiet. I've been
very
through Dock
quiet.
Square. No, I'm sorry, Sheila. I've been through Dock Square every day in the last 2 weeks, and it's incredible. You can just drive right through it. You
I
think it's
know.
January.
It's so
It's slow.
bad.
Well,
I don't have a problem with that. I just think the public should know. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with any of this.
We're going to get a couple spots back too, Mike, because they're going to haul that cardboard dumpster out of there if they didn't already do it.
I
Is that
just,
today or tomorrow, Lori?
I just think the public should know how much that the town is goodwill is committing to the businesses in town, which I think is a good thing.
I
And,
do.
you know,
Yeah.
people can question it and so forth, but I think that if we let people know how much we're contributing to goodwill, especially for the employment and the stability of the restaurant business in towns, I think it's a good thing. But I
And
just.
A lot of
No.
the people who have been using the restaurants are local people to begin with. They're not
Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
not a lot. I mean, we do get the out-of-staters, but there's been a lot of local support.
so the staff is requesting just for the month of July.
Yep.
So is that, I heard
Well,
a
my
motion.
motion was for
Oh,
July and August, but if the board wishes, I will amend it.
Well,
And we
I mean, I just
do it-
wanted to ask this question, what do you want to do?
I'd like to see us just do July, because I'd like to see what happens with when the governor opens and whatever happens. I think it also, we need to see what the traffic is
Right.
for the restaurants and stay close to them and help them out. But I think that if we did it in July, I think that we came back, I think, you know, looking at everything, we'd probably approve it for August as well. But
Yep.
I think July would be, I think we need to try it.
All right,
Okay.
well, let me amend my motion. I need some more coffee. I just finished my coffee.
What's in that coffee?
What was it? Just straight coffee. I would like to move that we allow Hurricanes and Allisons to use the parking lot in their tents for the month of July, and we'll
And I
revisit in August.
I have a first.
Second,
Sheila seconds it. Do a roll call. Sheila,
aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye, motion carries. Okay, item 13, consider ordinance amendments regarding tents. I'm gonna let you go off with that one. Your hand's raised. Look at that.
Does anybody remember why we even have a 30-day ordinance?
It was before my time.
That knows why this was even put into effect?
So I did have a conversation with Werner again, and Werner did note that under the current definition of structure in the land use ordinance, that tents would be considered a structure unless there's an exemption for them. And so this permit was a way of exempting tents as a structure. So we could continue to do that, or we could change the definition of structure.
That takes a town vote, though.
Either one would take a town vote, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember some of this, and we were talking mainly about tents going up in yards and so forth, and having weddings and mass gatherings, and I think it was tied together at one time. But it's been there since I've been here. I've been here for 20 years, and it's been there, as far as I know.
I would like to see the commercial establishments be able to put up a tent at the beginning of the season and then keep it for the season if they would like it. I don't see anything wrong. I'm trying to think of all the restaurants. the Nonantum has their own big backyard, so they're not interfering with anybody. Who else? Kennebunkport. I don't know that the boatyard's only been using their property. They don't have a tent. You know, they're so minimal in Kennebunkport. And I think, especially after this year, allowing them to have the tents, it is sort of an enhancement to their businesses. And everybody that I've spoken to who has gone out to dinner under a tent somewhere has enjoyed it totally. So why not allow them to do it?
No, I agree. I was under a tent today, up
Yeah.
at the pier at a lunch.
Oh, good.
So, and it's very nice. And I know that the Nonantum has them.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I think though, thinking back, I'm trying to remember way back when we were working on these ordinances and stuff, that there was a state law about being within the, you know, the waterfront area. And I think don't quote me for word here, but I think somewhere along the way, somebody decided that it was impervious service. But I look at it as the water runs off it. So, but I think that was tied up with the whole thing. That they didn't want these things in the shoreland zone, basically in the state. So we have to check that too. But I think it's fine. I think, but we should, if we're going to change it, we should change it, and we should put it to vote, you know?
Yeah, and I also
Meanwhile, we can allow them.
in their seasons too.
Yeah.
Ed? Oh, sorry, Mike.
No, I don't have a problem with it, but if we're going to extend it, I'd like to see us increase the fee just a little bit. What's the fee right now? $100?
$40.
What is it?
40.
Well, I mean, if we're going to allow them to run them all, and partially too is we may see some unforeseen consequences. And I'm not really thinking of the restaurants, but it may turn out that people may try to bend these rules in ways that we don't anticipate. So $40 is kind of.
Well, you could look at it two ways. You can go ahead if you want to extend it for over 30 days, say they want to keep it for the season, 90 days or whatever, you could charge them one fee, and the people that only want to use a tent occasionally up to 30 days, you could keep it at $40, right?
The $40 fee originally was intended for people who had backyard weddings and things
Right.
of that nature. It wasn't, I don't think it was originally intended for businesses.
Right.
I don't think.
And there's also the fee for people like myself. I've talked to Warner a couple of times. I haven't done it, but I wanted to put up one of those little carport tents to put my Kubota tractor in, you know, keep it out of the sun. And under our ordinance, you have to get a permit for that. And I don't know if it is the same tent permit that we're talking about here.
No, it would be a different.
Okay. Okay.
But I think that brings up, that's one way of differentiating between a structure that's up all year long and a temporary tent.
Mhm.
And so I think, you know, if you have a carport or a car canopy that's going to be up 365 days a year, that would go through a building permit process. Whereas, you know, a temporary tent would just get a tent permit.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with changing it and extending it. I assume we're going to have to talk about this again because it's going to have to go out to town vote in November if we decide to go forward.
What's our time frame?
So the time frame is, this would be a November vote, and that means we would need to finalize the warrant by the end of August, beginning of September. So if you guys are so inclined, then we would be looking for some parameters, and then we would come back to you at your next meeting with some ordinance language for your consideration.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
So
she's
what
looking
is
for-
the
Go ahead.
direction I'm getting?
I'd like to see a little bit higher fee. That's all on my end. Not outrageous, but a little bit more.
I agree to that, but I'd also like to see the ordinance get rid of the 30 days and just allow the commercial establishments to put up tents during the summer season or during the season.
Could we, Sheila, I agree with you there. Could we say that they had to be down by October 1st or set a hard date that they have to come down?
After Columbus Day.
Okay. You know, because the wind and the weather are gonna have a toll on these tents, and we
right.
don't want them blowing around town if we, you know, we get a nor'easter or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put some language together, Werner and I, and bring it back to you.
Good, that sounds
Thank you,
good.
Laurie.
Thank you. Okay, item 14. Accept donations to the nurses' general account in memory of Priscilla Spang. A, donation of $50 from Dorothy Reynolds. And B, donation of $50 from Stan and Barbara Barwise.
So moved with much gratitude.
Second,
The first and second. Okay, Sheila,
aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
And I just want to note, Alan, that it didn't come very clear on my speaker on who this is for. So I'd say again, it's for Priscilla Spang,
Okay,
yes, Priscilla
Yes.
Spang, yep.
in memory of, yeah.
memory of Priscilla Spang.
And Alan says aye. Motion carries. Okay. Other business? Ed,
I have none. Thank you.
Sheila,
I have none.
Mike?
I would just like to offer a thanks to our police department. I think they have been, during this whole COVID thing, have done an exemplary job of keeping everything under control, level-headed, very professional, and it's just a joy. I think we're very, very lucky to have the police department that we have.
I think you're absolutely right, and I'm glad that you said that because I know that we're all thinking the same thing.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike, for that.
Yep.
I have nothing, so how about Laurie?
One item is, you'll remember that we have given permission for businesses to use their property with tents for outdoor dining or to move racks outside and sign allowances for related to hygiene or directing people in different places. You know, these are things that we would not normally allow, that we are allowing because of COVID-19. So what we have done is Werner has met with businesses and given them each an allowance based on an application that they have filed with us. And we told businesses that we would do it on a month-to-month basis. So we did the month of June, and we're getting ready to issue a letter to them about the month of July. And I've had several businesses note that they would really like to know if they could have permissions for July and August. So these are ones that don't impact any town property. They're just on their own private properties, but businesses have said sometimes with the tent costs, things like that, if they commit to 2 months versus 1, you know, it saves them some money. And in terms of operations and planning and advertising, it would be helpful to know they could do it for both months. So Werner and I don't have any issue with it, but we wanted to come back to you because that's different than what we originally proposed, which was just month to month.
Well, things are not opening up as quickly as I thought they were going to. So I'm fine with that.
I agree.
Same here, yeah.
I think we're all fine with it. Do you need a motion or no?
I don't, as long as we're all on the same page.
We're all
Yep.
on the same page.
The other item I had was back in May, we discussed meeting virtually via Zoom for the month of June. The governor has extended the state of emergency until July 10th, which means that you can continue to meet via Zoom through the month of July. Kennebunk has decided to go back to meeting in person. My only concern is that I'm not concerned that we couldn't set everybody up so that they're physically distant in the meeting room, but it really limits public participation because we can only fit so many people in there and keep them physically distant. So I have not been as anxious to rush back to meeting in person, but it's really up to you guys. So just for the month of July, I wanted to ask you whether you wanted to continue to meet virtually or go back to in person.
I like virtual, I really do. I'd like to just stay the way we're staying until we don't have to.
And I'm not opposed to that.
I like meeting in person, but given
I do too.
our demographics of our town and the people who come to a lot of our meetings, I think we would be best to meet virtually so that people, you know, can have the opportunity to virtually come and view our meetings and ask questions as panelists, as opposed to maybe putting themselves into situations where they didn't feel comfortable.
I agree with that.
Lori, have we figured out what we're doing for the 18th of July?
So Tracy and I have been meeting about that, and we've reviewed the guidance that came from the state of Maine. So, and Mike and Dave, who are here on our AV crew meeting, are also helping us. So we plan to set it up similar to the RSU district meeting, which would mean that in the gymnasium, we would have everybody who is present, and we have enough space to physically distance. We have a maximum that we can allow in the gymnasium of 50 people. And so Tracy's talking about having their check-in on the outside of the building and then directing people to the gym, and we'd have the chairs set up. We would have a microphone for the moderator and another microphone for the public. We'd have to sanitize the mic. We'll have, if we have more than 50 people, we'll have the music room behind there set up. And so we will have audio in the music room so people can hear what's going on. If somebody wants to speak, they'll be able to leave the music room, come into the gymnasium and speak on an issue. And the people who are in the music room, we will have a second moderator, a deputy moderator to count their votes. So we've run through the requirements by the state, and typically we don't get that many people. We get around 50 or 60 people. We're planning to not have staff that aren't residents in the room. We'll have staff in a separate room, so that way if they're needed or to answer a question, they'll be available. But that way it'll help limit our numbers in the gym.
Okay.
Sounds good. Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Okay.
I just want to make sure people know, I guess I lied. I have something. I just want to make sure people know that there will not be any 4th of July fireworks this year. All the communities up and down the state have canceled their fireworks celebrations. And so, you know, I hope that people can find old-fashioned ways to commemorate the 4th of July. I would say that we are really going to be on high alert for people with private fireworks displays. Remember that in Kennebunkport, the use of fireworks is not allowed. And this year in particular, we are right now in a drought, and a fire concern is very high. They're not giving out burn permits. And so I've been talking with our police chief and fire chief about that concern about a fire and the use of fireworks. And so the police will be out patrolling. And certainly if people, you know, see fireworks going off, call the police in an expeditious manner so they can actually witness it. But I'm asking people to really, please don't use them, because we are very concerned about potential danger this year.
Okay. So item 16, approve the June 25th treasurer's warrant.
So moved.
Second,
First and a second. Sheila,
aye.
Pat, excuse me. Sorry, Pat, you're not here. Ed,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan says aye. Motion carries. Item 17, adjournment.
So moved.
Do we need to come in and sign, Lori?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need 3 of you. Alan will sign tonight, so I'll need 2 more.
I'll come in the morning.
Okay,
I'll come over right now, Lori.
okay.
I'm not coming.
All right, Sheila, you're on.
So I have a first. I need a second.
Mike, go ahead.
Oh, second what?
To adjourn.
First to adjourn.
Oh, I thought there was, yeah, motion to adjourn. Yeah.
Okay. Sheila,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan says aye. Sayonara. Good
Sign.
night. Thanks.
See you in a minute, guys. Good night.